guys, Chad here with the Reptile Rangers. Now we're at the Kernersville Reptile Zoo and Medical Center today, and we are going to talk about the Chinese water dragon. Awesome little pets. Very, very underrated. We're going to talk about their habitat, we're going to talk about diet, we're going to talk about captive care, we're going to talk about all kinds of things when it comes to the Chinese water dragons. So let's go take a look. Come on. All right, guys, now check this out. I've got this beautiful little female right here. The Chinese water dragons are absolutely awesome lizard species. They're from Southeast Asia and China, hence the name, the Chinese water dragon. Now these guys are from the tropical rainforest, forested regions of China and Southeast Asia. These are heavy tropical species. These guys right here live in really dense, densely forested areas. It's always hot, always humid, usually 88 to 90 degrees with near 80 to 100% humidity all the time. Now these guys make absolutely fantastic pets. They're very underrated. These would be considered kind of a substitute for iguanas. All right. Now iguanas get double the size of the water dragon. At best, the water dragon's going to hit about 3.5 feet, maybe 4 from the tip of the nose to the tip of his tail. And just like an iguana, a good portion of his length comes from his tail. Okay. Now this female right here and the male behind me, you can tell the difference between the two because she is much more dainty, much smaller. He's got that big throat jaws. He's got these high spine muscular feature. His spine comes up much higher, spikes are much higher. He has a much higher crest on the back of his head than what she has. That defines male from female. He also has that bright purplish pink chin, which is absolutely amazingly beautiful for this particular species. Now these guys are omnivorous. And I'm going to say omnivorous very loosely. Every once in a while you can get them to eat some kind of a fruit or vegetable, but by and large their main diet is insects and meat. Yes, they will go after fish and things like that, but they'll eat pinkies, pinky mice, pinky rats. They'll eat dubia roaches, they'll eat superworms, they'll eat all kinds of different bugs, crickets, even though, no, as we've talked about before, crickets is not good for them, but they will go after them. Grasshoppers and camel crickets, I mean, these guys will eat all kinds of different bugs. But just like my girl here, come on baby, just like my girl here, these guys are almost primarily insectivorous. It's a good girl, yeah, it's a good girl. Now, what these guys will do is they hang out at the freshwater streams and ponds, and they also hang out in the trees. And as defense, just like iguanas tend to do, if the iguanas are in trees, they will take and dive into the water to escape predation. Or if they're sitting on the banks in the sunlight, then they'll do the same thing. They'll just take off to the water to escape predation or something preying on them. Okay, now, keeping these guys as pets, as you can see in the habitat that we've got here, this is set up as a tropical habitat. You can do an absolutely beautiful vivarium. You can do a completely living ecosystem in here with things such as the snake plants and umbrella plants, pothos, little pothos, big pothos like golden leaf pothos. You can do English ivy. There's all different kinds of things that you could do that is going to give it a heavy tropical atmosphere. Yes, you'll have to do some soil, of course, do things like isopods and springtails, things that's going to help keep your atmosphere cleaned up, but you can do a completely living ecosystem, and a lot of people do. They do what's considered vivariums or living ecosystems for habitats such as the water dragons and dart frogs and frill dragons and things like that. Okay, so you can do that any time, but these guys love to climb. So in the habitat that you set up, make sure it's a lot taller, kind of like an iguana's, versus something such as like an agamas or bearded dragons, uromastyx, where it's going to be longer, not quite as tall. And yes, beardies love to climb, but it's not quite like them climbing in the trees in the rainforest region. Okay, now When it comes to feeding, these guys are pretty simple. When it comes to handling, it takes a little bit of time because some of your water dragons are a little bit more fearful and they want to just take off, but all it takes is a little bit of time of handling. Now, when it comes to what people generally think about iguanas, being able to have this big, massive iguana sitting on my shoulder, it's very rare, few and far between. And if you think it's easy to get an iguana to do that, you're fooling yourself, because it's not easy at all. Tegus are easier, especially the Argentine black and whites are much, much easier to be able to get to settle down than an iguana is 9 times out of 10. So this is a good substitute for something like the iguana if you want this big, beautiful green species. These guys do settle down a whole heck of a lot faster, generally speaking, and they tend to be much easier to care for than what an iguana would be. Iguanas are herbivorous, and they're supposed to be herbivorous. Yes, sometimes they do eat insects in the wild and things like that, but these guys right here are strictly omnivorous. Very, very seldom will you get them to eat any kind of fruit or vegetable. Now, I'm going to pull these guys down, and I'll show you how easy it is once you get them used to certain feedings and feeding schedules. We'll show you how easy it is to get them to eat. Watch this. Okay, now let's see what this guy does. Come here, bud. Come on. Come on. Both of you are looking. All right. Good girl, good girl. I know he's gonna come take over. Got one on your head. Where'd he go? Oh, fell in the water. Man overboard. Yep, go ahead, get you one. Now, as you can see, they're very excitable when it comes to eating. They absolutely love dubia roaches. The roaches is just, it's like crack to them. Super worms, that really, you just had to do that. Sebastian, get that off my arm. They're running around somewhere. There you go. Go ahead and throw it back in the container. Yeah, get it. That's the one you wanted to begin with. That a girl. All right. Go. Go on. You done? You so happy you drooled? Gonna get another one? Gonna get another one? Or are you done? You good? You happy, boy? All right, go on. Go on. Okay, now, these guys are just absolutely amazing. Probably one of the best pets out there. Bearded dragons are absolutely amazing. Of course, I'd love iguanas, don't get me wrong. And frilled dragons are awesome. And uromastyx and blue-tongued skinks and things like that. But these guys right here really are so underrated. They're absolutely awesome, awesome animals. And they do so well in captivity. And a lot of the times, one of the issues that we will see water dragons come in just insanely malnourished and just not taken care of very well at all. And most of the time, people just don't do the research, whether due to ignorance or just laziness that they didn't want to just check Google. I mean, there's Google out there, and we've talked many, many times. Google will lead you in the wrong places a lot of times. But understand, something is better than nothing, asking for help or seeking information. And these things a lot of the times are killed just due to the fact of not being educated in taking care of this particular species. And they're so simple, absolutely, absolutely simple, but absolutely beautiful, beautiful animals. Now, this is Chad, again at the Kernersville Reptile Zoo and Medical Center. Now, we hope you enjoyed this. Hit that subscribe button right there. Hit the like button. Make sure to share away. Write us in. Tell us what you're looking for, what you want to see, different things filming about. We got some things coming up. We look forward to seeing you again here at the zoo, or we'll see you on the next episode. Later.